Okay, so we are officially live for the first time ever for the We Aim to Slay and Crown of Service self-care series. So thank you to everybody who's joining, and thank you to everybody who watches in the future. So my first guest, you can see here, is the AWOS, American Women of Service, Classic 2024, Stacey Gallagher. She also happens to be my real life mom. So this is going to be a fun, a fun little experience. All right. So first question, which is kind of the basis of this whole process. Please forgive the dogs barking in the background. It's just what happens. What does self-care mean to you?
You know, I think self-care has a lot of different layers, but I think the most important thing is, what do I do in order to regulate my nervous system and really kind of take care of my physical needs so that I can then focus on my spiritual and my emotional needs.
All right, absolutely. And so I generally agree, thanks guys for tuning in, that self-care has like many levels to it. You know, there is the physical, there is the emotional, the mental, the spiritual. And as I was like prepping for doing this series, I realized that there are areas that I stay on top of like really, really well. Like I would say maybe...
Well, yeah, you're a super girl. So
maybe aspects of like the physical, right? Because like skincare, hair care, and that sort of like stuff has always been something I'm into. You can attest to that. But I'm like really noticing that I've neglected the mental health aspect of taking care of myself, especially recently, dealing with some like weird interactions with people, you know, that they happen, and why I'm having such a strong reaction to these situations. Is that a me issue? Is that the situation, you know, and like really having to like be aware of that and work on that.
I think one of the biggest blessings to be older, Classic, is that I don't care anymore. Like, I'm not trying to impress anybody. I'm not in the dating pool. You know, regardless, I'm me, and I'm really having fun being who I am. I think that's huge, is really that self-acceptance. And I know in my heart of hearts that I'm exactly who I need to be. And you know, do I make mistakes? Absolutely. Do I push myself? I do. But I do so now, eyes wide open. Whereas I think in the past, I allowed myself to feel like I needed to push myself in order to be something else. Now it's a conscious choice. I choose to, you know, go to a piano bar until 2 a.m. with you in Chelsea and walk 20 miles, knowing that, you know, a couple of days after we get back, we were going to need to take it easy, you know, and that's something I'm willing to do. But I think, you know, part of self-care is, at least for our age group, is making, you know, planning ahead. Things like, as much as I might have worn really cool shoes, knowing that I'm going to be in a walking only city and I'm not, you know, gorgeous Taylor who would do anything for fashion, I'd rather wear the quote unquote ugly shoes and have happier feet and be able to have the experience. So I think that's, self-care is different depending on where you are in your life as well.
Absolutely. And okay, somebody just commented that we're freezing up, so I'm sorry if the Wi-Fi connection is not great. And I hope that this is still just recording and that when it posts, it's normal. Excuse me. So yeah, no, I agree with you that self-care is different depending on your age group and like what your actual needs are. Cause like, yes, I will do anything for fashion, but I also then have to deal with the consequences. If I wear heels for a week straight at a pageant, I'm not wearing anything other than my Doc Martens for the next 2 months, unless I'm going to another appearance, in which case my toes are still numb. And it's happened almost every pageant that I've competed in. I like lose feeling in my toes for weeks after, because I do overdo it with the shoes, you know, and that's like that's a pushing myself too much physical.
That's a good conversation to have.
Thanks for looking out, Dave.
Is that, like, talking about the pageant week, because we do have another pageant weekend coming up when we go to Mississippi.
Yes.
One of the things that we realized early on is that we needed to prioritize our self-care during pageant week by making sure we had adequate sleep, that we were really hitting our hydration, even if it meant maybe beverages that we wouldn't normally, like bougie, expensive coconut water, because we knew that 20 ounces of coconut water really has a punch of electrolytes as well as that hydration. You know, those are things I take it for granted as a nutritionist. You know, as an athlete, I'm constantly feeding my body in the ways I need it to perform. But that is an act of self-care also. Just, you know, if you think about it, you know, you've got your water, I have my cup, making sure that we're that baseline, that's not even, to me, that's not self-care. That's just baseline. Like, this is what the machine needs in order to run.
Yeah.
But recognizing that, I mean, thinking back to college years or your early 20s, or maybe, you know, me when I had, you know, Shelby and Molly back to back, I didn't prioritize my own wellness at all. It wasn't even on the scale. It just, there was no time for it. And I think now we're making the time.
Absolutely.
And that's a maturity thing too.
So what are some of your favorite forms of self-care?
So,
other than the ways you've kind of already
absolutely. No, I mean, I think for me, you know, as an autistic adult, dysregulation can be really hard to manage. And my biggest form of self-care is walking. Not only because it's great for my body from a fitness perspective. Yes, Jim Stacey, that part is really important. But when I am feeling overstressed, overwhelmed, like I'm going to lose it, I want to move. And I have found that in putting that kinetic energy out by walking, sometimes it's even like, sometimes I walk, I run, I jog, it's this weird movement, but the faster and more energy I need to burn, that releases that, and then it's not a mental beat up. I don't run through the, you know, the time back in 1993 when I forgot to say something to somebody, you know, like that stuff gets turned off, and I'm able to just channel it. And I think that's the biggest gift. I used to get that endorphin rush when I was at the gym, and I think I liked it a little too much that I ended up hurting my body because I don't know how to say it other than, you know, that endorphin punch from lifting weights, it's great, but too much is not self-care anymore. Then it's, you know, a form of, I think, self-abuse.
And I totally get that because I am like a runner, but I guess for more like mental health reasons, I like to go running at like 2:00 in the morning, and I do like, and I know it's insane, but that's it's like
just
I
it's
wake
dark.
up.
I'm like,
I like
5 a.m. would be beautiful to me. 2 a.m. that's when I'm actually sleeping.
Like 2, you know, yeah, I don't know why. Like between 2 and 5, I love to get up, go for a run. You're by yourself, like, and this may sound crazy. I know it kind of does, but it helps me. Like, I just talk my problems out loud to myself, and then I talk all of the points of view that I can think of, and I just kind of play my own devil's advocate so that I can kind of hear it. There's a difference between like thinking thoughts and coming up with scenarios and then hearing those same words out loud, even if you just say them to yourself. Hearing them puts them into a totally different perspective, and then you're really able to see it like, okay, I'm making mountains out of molehills here, or maybe not, maybe, okay, no, maybe I'm not taking this situation seriously enough, and actually I need to do a lot more. So that's always been my thing, and I've been doing that since I was in high school. I love going for a run.
Yeah, I don't love running. And in fact, I strongly dislike running but I like to walk. But it's funny walking, too, you know, and it's like my friend Dave is on his bike, and he does crazy long
bike rides.
Yeah. And I, you know, the bike is kind of torture for me. I enjoy it, but my butt hurts, and I get tired. I can't get past how much it hurts my butt. You know, and I think also, too, for me, walking is a lot of times with my dog, and that, you know, having my dog with me makes a big difference because, you know, I had an emotional support dog for years, and while Baby Doll didn't do much to support me, what I realized was I wasn't able to be dysregulated because I needed to focus on her needs. So while it wasn't, you know, her loving on me and kissing on me and saying, "Oh, Stacey, it's going to be okay," I was continually focusing on, you know, my connection with her, and that was able to really regulate and kind of calm my nervous system too. And that was, you know, something important.
So my equivalent of that, like on hand immediately, can do whenever, wherever, would be journaling. And I've always journaled my whole life because I'm like a writer in my heart. And career-wise, I have also been a writer. I don't know what I'm talking about right now. For like the last couple of years, though, I have not been journaling. I have not been keeping up with what's going on. And within like the last month or so, right, you were like, when have you put anything into a journal? And I was like, oh my God, you're right. So I pulled my old journal out, and like a month ago I wrote something, and then I wrote something the day after, and then life got busy again, and I haven't written any of the things that have been like bogging me down, swirling around in my mind, and I can't, I'm not sleeping now, which means I'm not getting enough rest. I'm not being productive. It doesn't matter how much good food or attempted exercise you put in, like, everything has to be in balance. And, like, I'm really noticing where things are not in balance. But and it's not great.
Also, recognize the fact that somehow it's the end of September. You've been, with your volunteering, you've gone in the water. We have not been surfing.
Yeah.
We haven't done anything that was pure joy.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I mean, we went once with the dogs for a hike all summer.
I actually took Dante for a lot of hikes earlier in the year.
But different than when we take both dogs and we really go, you know.
For sure.
You've put a lot of energy into other things, and including your blog, which is phenomenal. Yeah. But maybe there's no, downtime.
And I have been really aware of that lately, that I have not been taking downtime. So that's, you asked me what I was doing tomorrow. That's what I'm doing tomorrow. I'm doing nothing. Maybe I'll throw some laundry in the wash. I'll catch up on what's new with Emily in Paris. No spoilers. I haven't finished part 2 of this new season yet, okay? There's not enough time.
It's okay.
Working on it. But, I need to put more effort into taking time to actually decompress and, like, rest. Get things done. Get on top of, like...
I miss...
what's going on?
Taking the time to do an Epsom salt bath. And I do very, very well, and I sleep better if I do that. But most of the time I'm pre-gaming bedtime in the chair.
Yeah. Have you tried magnesium?
Yeah, I take Mag Glute at bedtime, which usually helps with the muscles. And if my GI, depending on where my GI is at, I'll throw in some Mag Sit also.
I have this magnesium spray. You're supposed to spray your feet. Like the bottoms of your feet. I know. I've actually never tried it for its intended purpose because I sprayed it on like
it
above
makes sense,
and it got on my face and it started to burn.
It's gonna sting, yeah.
And so then I checked the bottle. And
an awesome way to get magnesium is an Epsom salt bath.
Oh, okay. Well, LOL then.
But I share a bathtub with a teenager, so
you're not really trying to use that.
So sometimes I'm not willing to take a bath when it looks like a pinstripe tub,
Yeah, I get that.
So, I'm on top of, I see my massage therapist. I mean, with the physical issues that I do have from my health issues, I do my maintenance stuff. I don't really, I guess technically it is self-care because I make sure that I go see Becca when my back starts to act up. Becca Dunham has been instrumental, and sometimes it's one of those things. Like I always laugh when I say I'm going to get a massage, because work friends are like, "Oh, enjoy your relaxing rub down." I'm like, no, that is not this kind of massage. It hurts. It hurts in a good way, and I'm not. She's always like, "Is that I?" But afterwards, it releases so much that it is worth it. But that's something that. Would I like to do something else with that money? Maybe new shoes, new clothes, or something, maybe, but that's money well spent because I have a physical job. I'm expected to be on my feet, playing and moving and grooving, and, I can't be crawling from discomfort. I need to be able to, move like a 5-year-old. I need to be able to use my body like a 10-year-old. It's my job.
And I'm glad you brought up that idea of, like, the massage, being, like, something that you're doing to, like, physically take care of yourself, almost like a treatment. Whereas from the outside looking in, it seems a lot like you're just doing something nice to pamper yourself. And that kind of juxtaposition is kind of where this whole live stream series idea came from. The idea that we do so much, each of us, in our lives to help benefit others, whether you're a parent or a spouse or a sibling, a friend, you're a volunteer, like you have a demanding job that requires a lot of you, that you have to be present in doing things constantly, how do you continue to show up for other people if you're not even able to find the time to show up for yourself and feeling that burnout? And that's what this whole self-care series is kind of like going to just explore.
Your cup? Yeah.
How do you refill your cup, but how do you keep your cup like at a healthy level so that there's even something to give to others? Because you get to a point where there's something left to give.
Well,
if you
that's
push yourself
where
too hard.
the biggest gift you can give yourself is the ability to say, no, I'm sorry. At that, as much as I would love to be able to help you, I'm unable to, because it directly would impact my own family, my own self in a negative way. And I'm no longer willing to do that.
And I feel like, yes, 100% I agree, but I feel like it's really hard for people, one, to say no. Like, this is not a society that necessarily
it's considered incredibly
appreciates you saying no when someone asks for help. And then also, like, how do you know where that level is? Because, you know, there are definitely moments where you're like, I don't want to because I just don't want to. I'd rather do something. Like, I'd rather be watching Netflix. But then there are also moments where you're like, no. Like, I quite legitimately cannot take on another project at all, at least for this time period, because I've got so many projects in the works. Like, and I feel like I'm having that level of anxiety right now where I've got some really cool projects in the works. But being able to, like, then limit myself and not take on a new project until at least one of them is, like, seen through and is, like, stable and sort of self-sustaining, so that I can then pivot my focus to something else.
So that's actually a really good point you brought up, because that's one of the things, you know, when we, you know, as contestants and now obviously title holders, but when we went into that interview, there was that very real conversation of how are you do so many things, how are you going to balance a year of service to this pageant system, as well as your area of concern, while still doing your life. And that's kind of one of those things where you make it happen. I mean, for me at least, I knew that I needed to still be able to go to work. And I needed to be able to have a plan in place where I could represent this title in a way that would appeal to other women in my demographic, and to other, you know, for me personally, to appeal to other neurodivergent women in my age group, that you're never too old or too weird or too different to be wanted and valued and important, you know, in this system. So before I committed to that, I met with my boss, you know, and I said to her, if I win this title, I'm going to have a lot going on. How can we make it work so that we benefit each other together? And my boss and I really came up with a plan, and it's beautiful because it wasn't just lip service. A lot of times we make promises, or we're told things, at least I felt for me, and people don't follow through. And to be able to see, you know, not only did Angela, you know, promise it before we went to the pageant, but she's booked the dates, and we've met with marketing, and we have all of the marketing campaign and the programming done, and we've met with club level management, and the first date is September 29th right here in Connecticut, actually in the Bristol Club. And it's, you know, it's such an honor to me that my company is going to back me, and we're going to how many different states to, you know, we have an entire year's worth of travel mapped out that the Edge is sponsoring, mainly because I think they believe in me, but they also believe in what we're doing, and that, you know, that crown of service, this is, you know, it's a gift to be able to wear it and to represent it. And I love that my job honors, there you go, hey. I love that my job honors the community service aspect of our lives, because it makes us well-rounded people, which makes us better employees.
Absolutely.
We have actually, it's something cool in our company, and I don't mean to get off on a tangent, but we have something called our Zen Den. And at corporate, it's a room that has a sound machine. It has an ambiance, like a noise machine. It has a, what do you call it?
Aromatherapy.
Different,
Smells.
Yeah, and then a self-help library, as audio, as well as you can pick up a book. And you can just go in and slide, and it's you know, in the public bathrooms or porta potties have the occupied, unoccupied thing. When you turn the lock on the Zen Den, it automatically just says occupied.
That's cool.
And it's, you know, it's there because our job can be stressful, and it's someplace where you can just go and disconnect. Jump in the massage chair, turn on the sniffy machine, make the bzzz sound so you don't have to hear corporate happening, and you're just on the beach. Well, I close my eyes and I'm on the beach, but maybe other people go elsewhere.
My job does not have a Zen den. For those who don't know, I work in a high school as a para-educator. We do not have a Zen den, although that would be cool. But I always go outside for my lunch break. If the weather is nice, I sit out in the fields. I take a lot of my pictures out there at lunchtime. And if the weather is not nice, I sit in my car. And no matter what, I put on my audiobook and I just do things that I enjoy, because for this short amount of time, this time is mine.
You call me a lot.
I do call you a lot, mostly to be like, you will never believe this Michigas.
Yes,
like,
yeah.
I just can't. I am so sorry to anybody who has teenagers at home, because I deal with them at school, and I can't even imagine what they're getting up to when they're not at school after dealing with what they do at school.
They can be a lot.
They're a lot. They're so much. Sometimes they're so mean.
Well, that's kids in general.
That's
But I mean,
so true.
but then again, the flip side of that is, for me, is I think realistically too, something else is, it's in the last, I don't know, how old were you when you did Teen America?
Oh my God, wait,
Tennessee.
like, that I was 15. I'm 29 now, folks.
So for 14 years, I've been, working with kids, because I started working for Darcy right when you went to Teen America. Cause yeah.
I was a sophomore in high school. That's 100 years ago. Wait, tangent. That was a crazy, crazy trip, because it was like the worst snowstorm
Blizzard.
Nashville had seen in like decades.
No, not Nashville, Connecticut, so we left early to avoid it here.
But then it also snowed in Nashville, and they had trouble because of like, it was more snow than they were truly prepared to handle.
Which was
either.
like 2.5
so
inches.
Nashville was like closed. Connecticut was also closed. We almost didn't make it to the pageant. And then we get there.
Don't. You can't. You're like, you need to stop. We're not
We
going to tell the
get
story.
there, and I open my suitcase,
Oh.
and the one thing... You're terrible. You think I'd tell that in public?
I thought you were
a
going
jerk.
there.
No,
Sorry.
the one thing I didn't bring to this pageant in Tennessee was my makeup.
I don't want to even look at you in the face right now, because I can still remember her first national
Like
teen
travel
pageant,
to
like flyaway big pageant.
And it was in a performing arts center, which I've never competed in another performing arts center before. And like, it was a production. Like, there was stairs on the stage. We had to like go downstairs in our gowns.
And she's like, "Oh, I was supposed to bring my makeup? I didn't know."
I was 15.
Well,
okay?
also, here's the thing, and it's an interesting conversation. If you had been Caucasian, it would have been no big deal, because the vendor you booked had foundation for
Foundations for
everybody
them.
but black people.
That's interesting that we're bringing that up.
But it's just funny, because that's why you didn't have your makeup. I
Yeah,
mean, you
you're
needed it
right.
for any
I
rehearsals and
needed my
anything
makeup
also.
Like,
But
I needed my makeup in general. But, like, you're right. We ended up having to go out and replace everything, and it wasn't, like, a perfect match, because we were getting as close to the colors we needed as possible. That's, like, a thing. Luckily, nowadays, a lot more brands cater to a lot.
yeah, we
wider
had to go
range
find
of
MAC,
skin
if you
tones.
remember, because that's all
Yeah.
that matched.
Now, okay, this is just a little plug, I guess. Clinique makes the best range of, like, shades.
Better than Fenty Beauty?
Mm-hmm.
Because
Fenty, I found,
orangey.
yes, Fenty oxidized really orange on my skin. My skin is not as, like, because I have really olive undertones. So those true, like, pinkish hues that typically come into, like, warmer tone skin, I do not have them. I have more yellow and green.
You have buddy skin.
Yeah, my grandfather's Mediterranean coloring, and so that I also have that. But okay, so we started off, we got on so many tangents, but this is why you're the first person, because I knew it would be like this. Okay, so we were talking about the idea of like keeping your cup full enough to be able to give to others, from pour into others, whatever the saying is. And so how do you try? I mean, I guess we kind of already talked about how we keep our cups level,
I think for me, that's where the spiritual aspect really comes in.
Mm-hmm.
And, without getting too, to me, living and with a heart of love and being able to take care of others, whether it's an animal or it's a child or it's another person. That's how I fill my cup. I've always felt that I have a calling to give to others and to take care of others and to be there as a caregiver. So that's how I fill my cup back up. And I'm able to be grateful for what I do have and the connections and the support that I have in my own, in my own life. And, especially, honestly, more animals than people, because obviously that's, my affinity. It's incredibly rewarding to see an animal who might not otherwise survive or thrive be living their best.
100%. And I like to, I'm even farther removed. I enjoy refilling recharging my batteries via being out in nature, whether I'm on the beach doing, either surfing for myself or doing a cleanup, or more recently working with like the coolest organization ever, Amp Surf, and they actually had an event today up in Maine, and I wanted to go so badly, but we had other things going on, so unfortunately I couldn't make it. I think this was their last event of this year, so they started.
It gets a little chilly where we are.
Yeah. So makes sense, but also, and I was there last weekend, and I had like the best experience. It was the first time I got to be the person that was like, I was sitting on the back of the board, and the person riding, the athlete, was like, I was, their support system. It was like, they call it the human chair. So you're basically the back of the chair, and they lean on you, and you kind of like help them steer. And it was so cool. And the coolest lady, her name is Randy. She also has amazing curly hair. She takes all the photos while we're there. She got the coolest photos of like he and I both smiling, riding this wave in. And it was just like, it's those moments, yes, I'm in that moment. I'm like doing something for others, which you would think be active, emptying the cup. But for me, especially doing things like that, where I'm already doing an activity that I love, surfing,
well,
but now I'm helping someone else do something, the same thing. It's so rewarding. It's so humbling. And I feel like such a broken record when I'm there, because people are always like, oh, did you have fun? Did you have a good time? And I was like, this is like, there's literally no better way to spend the day. Like, I got to be on the beach from sunrise to like early afternoon. I also got fed at the end of the day. And if you know me, like, food is the way to my heart. And I got to be like on a surfboard in the ocean with people who also love surfing. Like, it's there's nothing could be better for me. That's like the best way for me to spend my day. And then to also see like such a wide range of people from like of ages. I mean, like we start with like kids all the way up to like adults, and like adults that are older than you are, like real adults. Not that you're not, but like, you're like still having fun. You're with us young folks. To see all these people just like having such a purely joyful time. You can see it in their faces. They're smiling, they're laughing, like they're just enjoying themselves so much. And like to share in that for even a little bit is so fulfilling.
100%.
And gratifying and humbling, and that's why I like to do those things. But I also like sometimes, like you were talking about, like people can be a bit too much for me, which is why I do a lot more things outside where there's like there's space to retreat.
That's okay. Like, and I mean, I'm thinking back, I'm like, you were talking about, how fulfilling that is. And I'm like, yeah, that's face painting for me. Like, especially when I'm able to go like somewhere in Lime Rock where I'm not making money. I don't have to think about, I'm working for a company, I have to earn that. I don't like to do the paint per face gigs because I don't like that pressure. I love just being able to hang out and paint kids. And I can spend, 10 minutes with one child acclimating and getting them comfortable because there's no pressure. I don't have to make this, it's not the more faces I do, the more I make. And I love it because especially a child who may or may not be okay with being touched, or this may be a big deal, to get through that with a child in a way that makes it a positive. I have families, I've been painting at Lime Rock 5 or 6 years now, and I have families that they come back and they camp, and they're like, the minute we see your tent, my child is ready to go, and they won't let anybody else paint them but you. I'm like, that's awesome. We may do the same design every single year, but that's their thing. And I'm thrilled to see them. So that feeling of, that kid, seeing a kid smile, seeing a kid's life better, that fills my cup.
I get that, because despite what I was saying about teenagers being kind of scary, there are certain kids at school that, like, I have bonded with, because this is my 3rd school year now, that I just like, they're graduating this year, and I'm gonna miss these kids.
Isn't that a crazy feeling? We were
Like,
talking about
one of these
that.
kids, so I used to have this girl, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off.
okay.
I had her as a one-on-one for like a lot of classes last year, and I'm not going to, you know, for privacy.
Of course.
But I think you know where I'm going
Yeah.
with this. She is not one of my kids anymore, but she went out of her way to find me during the homeroom period, like a week or two ago, to be like, I need your help. Tell me how to use this nail kit that I bought for myself, because I know you do nails. We've talked about them a bunch last year. Like, help me. And I was like, guess what? I'm writing a whole blog post on it already. It'll be out at this time. And she was like, see, I knew I could come talk to you about it. And I was like, of course, like, I've always got you. But even in a more like serious way, I definitely told you about this. My first year there was a boy in that English class who like didn't want to read books. And I asked him, like, what kind of movies do you like? And he told me, and I was like, okay, I've got books in my own personal collection that I think you'll really enjoy. And he read every single book that I brought in, and he did his independent reading projects on them. And I was like, I just made this kid love books, you know? And like, he told me, he was like, I could not put this book down. I didn't even know it existed. And now I just like, can't stop. And I'm like, I know, I've read it like 4 times. Like, it's a great, and yes, it's just like so like exciting to see that like your efforts not only are paying off, but to have a almost profound kind of impact on someone.
So, you know, again, that's what, you know, again, at work, I have that same experience. And I was talking with, I'm the senior area lead. I've the longest tenure of anybody in my position. And we were talking with some newer hires. And one of the things that I love is that, for example, you know, my friend Taylor's family. Taylor's been using our program since she came in to meet us when she was pregnant with her first child. And that child is now, you know, 3. And her second child, this week, my bad, she said they're working on walking. So I assumed that little man was already walking. So I spent his entire hour and a half with me working on his walking skills. So when mom came to pick him up, I opened the gate and he walked to mom. And she was like, oh my God. He walked. I was like, yeah, you said that when you came in. She said, no, I said we were working on it. I'm like, we worked on it. We did it. You know, that's profound. Othello took his first steps for me in Edge Kids. You know, Cam, he took his first steps. I know you don't know any of these people. Well, you know them, but I'm talking the internet doesn't know these people. But these are families that I hope to see these kids at their high school graduation. These people matter to me. You know, I mean, you know, these are those connections. Those connections refuel and 100%. Feed my soul.
And you know what's crazy? So, like, you've been competing in the AWAS system.
Hi, Chelsea.
Love you, Chelsea. Actually, you're why I'm bringing this point up, Chelsea. So, like, Chelsea, who is our IWAS sweetheart, and, you know, Stacey, who is our AWAS classic, have been competing in this system for a couple years. This was my first year doing it. Yeah. And even, you know, from the moment, like, and I didn't go to Forum this year, like, I just couldn't take that time off from work. So the first time I met everyone was at Nationals, and instantaneously, people were just, like, so excited to see me, and they were like, oh, yeah, we, like, started following you online, and we see what you're up to, and, like, it's so exciting to meet you and to finally talk to you about it, and, like, it's just, those are those connections.
See, and I have to laugh because you're a little bit more reserved. And our funniest experience at the pageant, my very, very good friend Kathy and her daughter Beth, and Beth being massively pregnant. From the minute I met Beth and Kathy, I said, Beth, this is going to sound nuts because my New York City daughter, you two will be like 2 peas in a pod. You have the same.
Beth, I do love you. I'm just awkward.
Same awkward, weird personalities, and like some of the things you say, and it's just I love you both. And the minute Beth waddled in, she saw Taylor, and she was like, "I knew I had." And Taylor was like, "Whoa, they do like me. You're right." I'm like, "Yes," because this is a known nonsense. These people meet you where you're at, no matter how weird. And trust me, some of us are out there. Everybody is valued.
Some of us are less out there, but just as weird.
Yeah, but there's quite a few queens. It's so funny because there's a few of you that are so conservative and so reserved and Fairfield County-esque that it's funny to see the rest of us
all out
that are
in that one statement because
I
we're all
shush.
from Connecticut.
I
But you know what, Jan and Jen, I love you, and I do hope to grow up to be just like you because your ladies are fabulous.
I was not including Jen in that. I think Jen's funny and
Jen
silly.
is
You
fun.
and Jen are
But
like
Jen
real
is
grown-ups.
fun,
Jen's
too.
silly. Jen gets silly with us.
Jan and I had a silly
But
time
yeah, Jan is.
backstage at
But
the
my point,
pageant.
100%, is that Jan, who is such an incredibly accomplished woman, her resume is insane with the
know.
things that she's done. She's only had one lifetime. That's all happened within her however many years
You know
she's
what's
had.
crazy? Jan actually used to work for the school district that's next to the school district
Yes.
I work in.
But think about that. Like, look at her resume. She's done so many incredible things.
Yeah, that's true.
And yet we got to know her, and she's funny and fun. Like, and I don't know that I ever would think to approach somebody. If I looked at her on paper, I might have been, intimidated, or it's like,
she's a
Jan's
real
not going to put
grown-up.
up. She's a real girl. She's not going to put up with our craziness.
Yes.
And she's amazing, and that's something that you don't get until you're part of something like this.
Ironically enough, I had this very similar conversation with Sam, the International Woman of Service, while we were in New York earlier this month. I was like, I have to tell you, like, I was scared of you when I met you. Like, you were just so many, like, you have this, like, strong presence, and it's, like, intimidating, but also very cool. Like, you can tell you've got your life together. And she was like, dude, I was scared of you. You have, like, this pageant-ness. And I was like, yeah, see, but now we're going to be such good friends.
Plus she has wicked cool kids.
She does. Oh my
She
God.
does.
And actually, Alexis is my mentee for
I'm
the
very
mentee
jealous.
program, and I'm so
That's
excited.
So cool.
So, Alexis, if you see this, I love you. And I can't wait to mentor you this year. And Sam, I'm sorry in advance. No, we're going to have fun. We're gonna have a good time.
Yeah. I mean, I'm just thinking about, like, I mean, it's so funny that on my daily stuff as I'm running around doing my thing, I think about Brittany Rankel's kids. I'm like, I want to text Morgan this. And where else in your life would you be able to say that and have, first of all, not be weird because,
True.
But truly, and to be able to send, a message and say something like, hey, I saw the coolest shark thing, or hey,
Yeah.
I said to Brittany, I didn't even tell you this, I'm like, hey, when we go to the pageant in Florida, if I can find it, will you let me take Morgan and go swim with the sharks? Don't make that, you want to come too?
Wait, in the cage?
Well, yeah.
Okay.
Not free diving with
I
the
was
snack.
like,
I don't want to be a snack.
Sure.
No, but
no.
But no, I know you don't like the bears.
I like
playing
a
with bears.
barrier for safety.
So, yes,
I am
that's-
cautiously adventurous. Okay.
That's reasonable.
Yeah.
Right? Oh, do you have Shark Tank?
Shark Tank.
That's not Shark Tank.
Shark bait. Oh, whatever. You knew what I meant.
Shark Tank is where you go get your shit approved.
Wait.
Stuff
You can't swear.
I forgot.
Gosh. Golly. That's that's some malarkey. Okay. I wish I knew how to do the sound effects to put like a beep over that. But I don't. If someone knows how to do that, please teach me how to do that. Because I have a lot of videos I can't post because sometimes it just slips out.
Sorry.
You're good. Let's take a water break. Okay, so like the other third of the point of this conversation, this dialogue, is how you actually take like your revamped energy and then put it out there and sort of pay it forward with your volunteer efforts. So tell me tell me about your platform also, but if you do work outside of your platform, tell me about those volunteer efforts also.
Sure. So my platform is Critters Care Too, and it kind of came about because for years, we were, as a pageant organization, involved in a more focused community service, kind of pageant girls giving back, crown of service. And, I thought, what's kind of the biggest thing that we talk about? It's bullying. And we're always working as an anti-bullying program. Like, there's so many amazing programs to deal with bullying after it's happened.
Yeah.
What about catching kids when they're younger, before it happens, in a way that's impactful in their frame of reference? And because I am creepy and weird by nature, my pets and my pet interests tend to be
Weird.
Different than the average pet.
Yes.
I love rats. Like my favorite activity, don't make that face, is to stick my head in a cage full of rats, close my eyes and let them kiss my head everywhere.
Like when my dog gets too
and
close
they'll
to my hair.
pull on my hair and they'll nibble on my earlobes and they rub up against. I love the feel of lots of rats on my face. Like, if I could go on that game, Fear Factor, and just be rats everywhere, I'd be in heaven. Because people think that rats are biting you because they want to bite you, but that's their sensory. So it's nice bites. And I don't mind the bites. They're not like break your skin bites. They're like taste, nibbles.
Like dogs that cough. You know?
Exactly.
Tabitha, I'm
but,
right there with
what did Tabitha say?
She said, "Oh my goodness, eek." Yeah, no, me
but,
too.
But okay, so that's awesome.
Like,
but see, your reaction is totally okay. But so getting back to my platform, what I do is I talk to kids and I show them, a lot of times it's just pictures. We don't bring the live animals into the program. But we'll either have stuffed animals, we'll have some photographs and we talk about the spiders and the snakes and the rats and the lizards. And then we play games with the kids. And I'm a coach, I'm Jim Bro, that's who I am. So what I do is I set up these cool relay games and I'm like, all right, this game is called Color Orchard. And you're a snake, you're a spider, you're a lizard, you're a rat. You have to go into the orchard and get your food and you have to work cooperatively. And all of a sudden, wait a minute, if that person over there who's the farmer wants to squish you because you're a rat, that's scary. What can we say about, hey, I need some space, or hey, I'm nervous, I'm uncomfortable, instead of kill, squish, gross, yuck, ew. Say, this makes me uncomfortable.
We're sitting outside in a tent.
Cammy,
obviously. Our youngest person, her kid, my sister, whatever. She set up a tent.
This really cool, like almost like lounge on our deck,
which is cool. She's having a sleepover over the weekend with her friends.
She's got a bed hooked up here.
So we were like, we're borrowing this because
it was really a cool setup. So
and
as we're talking,
there are acorns falling everywhere.
I live in the Berkshires on the top of a mountain in the woods, literally inside of the woods on the Appalachian Trail. So yeah, acorns flying at us, and as I said, they're just
making their gosh darn point, like, hello, Green Man, we hear you.
Yes.
What were we saying before?
We were talking about Critters Care too. And so,
okay.
But it that conversation kind of gives the kids a tool that otherwise they might utilize language that can be hurtful. Mm-hmm. And it catches them when they're young enough to have an alternative to being mean.
Yes. Which I think is important.
And and I agree. And so I have a house full of not just weird animals, but rescued weirdos. Like, most of my rats are missing something, whether it's toes or pieces of their tails or, somebody who had a nasal injury. Well, but here's the thing. These are all animals who otherwise should have, would have, could have been euthanized or fed to something else. Nobody cared enough about this, $2 rat to bother. And I spent 6 weeks hand feeding, bottle raising them, making sure they have an amazing life. I spend an hour a day cooking gourmet meals to make sure not only are they getting their meals, their nutrition, but they're having fun with it. Because I want to enhance their life, because I can. That's important to me.
100%.
And that, again, that caring for them fills my cup.
No, 100%. And I feel like, just sort of talking to the volunteer aspect in general, right? Like, there's this common misconception, we'll say, where volunteering or community service, giving back, is something that, like, you go out of your way to spend, like, a ton of time doing, and it becomes almost like a chore or something. But there are very feasible, bite-sized ways to do a lot to help people. Like, obviously with the blogging, I end up doing a lot of shopping for things, and like, there are pieces that I'll wear once for a photo shoot and then once to go out, and I'll never wear them again. And when I do my spring cleaning, those are the things that I'm boxing up and I'm bringing them to shelters or, other community facilities where they're going to go to people who literally need these clothes. Mm-hmm. And not only will the clothing get a second life and someone will actually have things to wear in a rotation, but like, that goes right back into my efforts for, you know, the main efforts of my community service are environmental conservation. And fashion is one, it's not the only industry that is destroying, because I do love the fashion industry. You know, I will defend it with my life, even though it has some bad practices. There are ways to kind of help subvert, or not subvert, but like kind of go around those bad practices by, you know, like it's as simple as reduce, reuse, recycle, you know? But like we're using these refillable water bottles and this thing is destroyed. It's so dented. It doesn't stay
Yeah, but
cold
that's
anymore.
funny is haha Dave, not to call
It's
you out, but
dented.
I stole that from Dave's house in like
100 years ago.
2018
Yeah.
to borrow it for a day, and there it is.
And I've worn it out.
But that's right. You know, I
It
want to
still holds
circle.
water,
I want
though.
to circle back to what you were just saying, because your love of fashion and like your purses. One of my sister queens is going to shelters with purses full of things that women need, and you know, instead of taking my purse to Goodwill or taking my purse to a consignment shop, I would give it to Jan because I know she's going to repurpose that. And I think being part of this sisterhood, that's such an incredibly unique thing. Yeah. Like I love my conversations with Chelsea about, you know, her work with medical bullying, because I have a child with a medical issue who has been severely bullied in school because of her medical illness. So, you know, listening to Chelsea and feeling like, another parent who went through it, but also knowing that my daughter's going to meet Chelsea, and Chelsea's going to already be set up as a role model for her, and she's going to be able to say, you know, hey, I may not be diabetic, but my illness gets me bullied too. Thank you for having Derek's Defenders. I hope we can bring something like that to my school. That's the sisterhood. I think, you know, whenever we get told pageants are frivolous or you're so shallow, that sisterhood, I cannot get over the feeling I had when I walked into Forum, because I had done this pageant before. But this sisterhood is different. Like, I walked into Forum and immediately I was with my sisters. Women I had never met before are my sisters. And I love that I know, like Lelaine, oh my God, I love that woman. And I met her in I don't even know when. I feel like I've known her my whole life. And that's, you know, when I'm thinking about, as I told you, like, what's the best part of going to the pageant? Well, sorry anybody's offended by this. I don't love pageants. I don't love being on stage. I don't love that. I love this part of pageantry. I love the sisterhood. I jokingly said to Jasmine, I'm like, I'm thrilled and I'm honored that I get to compete for the international title, but I would be okay if I didn't. Just being part of this family is where it's at for me.
100%. And I was talking to you about this like a lot this week, trying to get myself not to talk about it because, you know, I wanted to have this conversation for the live stream. But the idea that, like, you know, I've had like weird interactions with people in my day-to-day life recently that I've not taken too kindly, that I've not loved. Or even moments that have been missed. Like, my birthday was in early September and no one at work knew or acknowledged it. And not because I've kept that stuff hidden. That is not. My birthday's the same day as Beyonce's. Like, I brag about that. Like, to anyone who will listen.
And in a place where you work, they know your date of birth.
Yeah. And everyone else in my department's birthdays were posted on the wall where we do, like, our schedule changes for the day. And mine was, like, the only one that hasn't been posted. And I get it. For the last 2 years, I was away from my birthday, because my birthday's Labor Day weekend. I usually use it, and, like, 2 vacation days to go on a trip. And I didn't this year because I was going to Fashion Week the following weekend. And it was like, do I really care overall? No, because I have all these incredible people who reached out to me, who called me, who sent me, like, Crystal sent me a card in the mail. So did Brittany and her little noodles.
Oh my God.
Brittany
Brittany's
messaged
girls.
me and she was like, I apologize in advance. I don't know what is in that envelope. And I was like,
Oh,
it was
snail mail card. That's
yes,
awesome.
yes, Crystal mailed me a card. People like, so like, I don't need the people I work with to acknowledge anything
because we have this sisterhood
I have
of amazing
friends
people.
and family who care about what I do, and they reach out to me. Like, I talk to Chelsea literally every day.
Well, so
every
do I,
single
it's Chelsea.
day.
And I told you, didn't I?
You did. And at first,
Mom knows best.
she and I, well, listen, like, at pageant week, you end up spending a lot of the time with the people you stand next to in the lineup backstage. And for me, that was Brittany, and that was Cassie, my sweet little noodle. So, like, now actually being title holders with Chelsea, I've spent a lot more time with her, and we were lucky, you know, in, when did we go to the Poconos? August. We got to see Chelsea for, like, an unofficial extra sister trip earlier in the summer, which was cool, because then we, like, already had a good bond with her before, and you've met her before. Yeah. I hadn't met her before. We had a good bond with her in New York, and then we had, like, a person to, like, hang out with. And as much fun as we had in those, like, organized group trips, because they were amazing. So thank you, Jasmine, for, like, setting all those things up for us, and Whitley for inviting us to come walk in the True Beauty show.
And Renee for opening up Fashion Week for our
Beauty
group
It's
as well.
Everywhere. Yes, I'm sorry. I don't know how I'm... Sorry,
it's okay.
My brain is racing. You know, it was just as fun to hang out with Mercedes and Sam and Brittany and Alyssa, like all those people, like outside of those organized times where you could just be yourself, no makeup, wearing sweatpants, and just like be real about what's going on. And I've been competing in pageants since I was like 11 years old. There have been a lot of moments where you're like, okay, I just don't feel comfortable sharing anything about my personal life because I know that no one's going to respect that here, or that somehow it's going to be, you know, game of telephone and it's going to be a bad situation. And I do not feel that way. Yeah, we should not have stayed out till 3 a.m. walking, but we had fun. You know, like, and it's instantaneous when I joined this pageant that, like, I never felt like, okay, I can't trust these people. I was like, okay, no, I need to put some filters on because I'm going to tell people things that I probably haven't even told you. You know, it's like, I need to shut my mouth right now. It will not end okay.
So it's funny, too, because I have, just watching you, you know, you mentioned that you've been in pageants since you were 11. I will tell you some systems that were high stress for me as a parent. And some of the awful things that I saw that they did to you. Oh my God. I'm not going to call them out.
Wait, are we talking about that one interview question?
No. Oh, we're talking about prepping for USA.
Oh.
And
I'm not going to call it. I'm going to say the system.
Yeah, you asked.
Well, because I thought you were talking about that one time.
No, it's not the. Here's the thing. It's not the pageant. It was
literally
what
bullied
you
by
like.
The judges.
The work that you did. Well, we're not going to go there. The work that you like. You
prep work.
In order to be this Barbie that you, the box that you needed to fit into, you really had to undo kind of who your core self was to make room for a persona that never quite felt real. And one of the things that I loved seeing, and I got to be honest with you, my favorite part at this pageant was not my crown, because I was very excited about that, of course. I about died, like I couldn't see straight, I couldn't stand up, I was hyperventilating when I knew you had won, and you were still cute little Taylor ding dong, da 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 da, okay, I'm gonna be first runner up again. I saw the face, and you're like, for the 90 millionth time in my life, I'm first runner up again. Remember to smile and say thank you to the judges.
It's
and
so
then
hard.
when they called your friend, you went, wait,
what? Yeah, I kind of always just prep for the worst, and then I'm pleasantly surprised.
But
not that being a runner-up is ever the worst situation.
How many
obviously,
of these women that you had just met,
disappointing when you work hard.
Whether it was my friends who were genuinely as excited for my daughter as I was for my daughter to win, but how many of these women, some of them, in all honesty, you beat them to a title that they wanted, but they were so stoked for you.
Yeah, it's true. Then you can see it in the pictures. Like, you can see it in their faces. These are just, like, good, genuine, content, happy people. And they're just trying to find effective ways to kind of pay it forward and share those things with others, which I think is amazing. That's, like, you know,
and I
like
just,
you said, we only get one life. There's only so much time. You should use it in fulfilling and satisfying
ways. Things that make you, you know,
ways that make you happy. Yes, because you enjoy working with, like, kids and with animals, and I enjoy picking trash up out of the ocean or the woods because there are less people there. Sometimes I don't do well with people. I get really overwhelmed, and then I try to fill awkward silences with jokes that don't make sense to anyone, and it's very weird. It's this cricket sound, you know. It's not great.
I get it, because I have to disconnect from the people too. I mean, I just admitted on Facebook Live that I stick my head in a cage of rats for fun.
Okay, but you do just, like, talk about that in your real life.
But I like them.
Listen, I have a dog. Okay, a singular dog, and I love him to death. I rescued that sweet baby, and I'd do it again. I'd fight anyone to stand in his way. But sometimes I'm like, yeah, I understand how dogs end up in shelters, like, which is horrible, and I'm like 90% kidding, but also sometimes I'm like, you know, he just got over being sick, and because I switched his food too fast, and it was my own darn fault. But like 4 days in a row, I came home and he had like explosive doo-doo all over his cage, and like, it's not his fault. I'm not mad at him, but this is not something I want to be dealing with, and that situation is infuriating. I'm not actually mad at the dog, but I'm disgusted by what I have to now clean up.
Like the kid who sits at the top bunk and pukes over the side of her top bunk because she doesn't want to come down the ladder when she's got stomach virus.
6.
But my point is,
2, 3,
that's
4,
an
5,
act
6.
of love. So Dante is a dog. He's one.
Yeah.
You know, and I know it's awful. And here's the thing. Sometimes it is, you know, that's where, not to circle it back around, but having good self-care, because sometimes when you're a mom, and Chelsea, I'm sure you of all people can relate to this, you're at your wits and everything I'm trying to do. Like when we were going through Cammie's diagnosis and trying to get her organized, and I come home and Shelby's like, I took her to McDonald's. I'm like, dude, we're in the middle of a medical trial where she can only drink this amino acid liquid, and you took her to McDonald's? Like you just want to, but it was, you know,
like,
it can be hard. So I think it's incredibly important to have, especially when you're a caregiver, to have self-care and treats. And I don't mean like snack treats, but we are foodies.
Well,
so, but
like
treats,
little
things that are little
moments.
pick you up, things that make you feel good, so that sometimes you need to give yourself a little hug because no one else is gonna. Mine happens to be chocolate.
What would my little treat be? What would you think my little treat would be? It kind of depends on what mood I'm in.
Gin.
Yeah, okay. If it's like a beverage, yeah, I love a good gin drink. But no, I meant like, what is something I actually treat myself to?
Shoes, jewelry, makeup, hair crap.
You know what? It's probably makeup. Hair
Ulta.
crap.
Anything at Ulta or Sephora. How many credit cards do you have?
I only have the 2.
And what credit cards? Not a Visa, not a MasterCard, not an Amex like a normal grown-up. What do we have?
I have an Ulta Sephora credit card.
And
I
Sephora.
have a Sephora credit card.
Ulta and
But
Sephora.
you know what?
They're building your credit. So
My Ulta, I've had an Ulta credit card for like 7 years now, and my credit score is a
solely
lot.
built.
Yeah, on
Between
buying
student loans and Ulta.
Yes. Well, no, I don't pay my student loans on my
Don't
Ulta card.
say that. No,
I
obviously,
pay them
I meant
with
it
my
builds
own
your
money.
credit.
Oh,
it
yeah.
builds your
Okay,
credit
okay, I
with
was
Ulta,
like,
not
okay.
using Ulta.
I was like, I don't pay my
That
student
would be
loans
nice.
with
Wouldn't that be
Ulta money.
nice? Like, you get
Yes,
points?
yes, I make so many points back at
Oh
Ulta.
my
That would
God,
be awesome.
Excuse me, government, please take my Ulta
Accept
card.
my Ulta points.
I'll pay much better monies.
Oh my God, I'll pay it more consistently too.
Yeah, right.
My loans have been deferred forever because
COVID.
#COVID. And I work for a school. I do not have money to pay back being a student.
I don't have my glasses. What's Dave saying?
Dave said a cannoli, and that's actually right. But okay.
I love cannoli.
I just always picture you the day that you like licked all the cream out of the
Don't
cannoli,
say that on TV.
and then you tried to shove the rest of it in Dave's
I wanted to share a bite with
mouth.
Dave. I only licked one end.
Disgusting.
I was giving him the unlicked
No,
end.
she was like an anteater. Her tongue went like through
Alright,
6
alright,
cannolis
but
at once.
it was also the day of a bodybuilding show, and it was the break, and we had already done our performance, so I could chunk a little bit, and I wanted a cannoli. And then I thought last minute it would be nice to share with Dave because I love him, but it was a cannoli.
Yeah, that's how I feel about like my skincare products. Don't touch them.
And I
Ever.
That's what I give you for
Ever.
gifts is Tatcha.
Actually, though, like if I had to pick like one comfort skincare product, it's Pond's. Pond's Cold Cream. The sensitive skin one, I use it head to toe. It's my body lotion. And my
But not
skin-
your face, right?
I do on my face sometimes at night and in the winter. But if I use it too much on my face, it is a little heavy.
So that's Aquaphor for me. Like I goop on the
Sometimes if I
Aquaphor.
don't have lotion, I'll put Aquaphor on, but then I need like a full hour for my skin to like absorb, and then I have to like wipe it back off. Like it's too.
Aquaphor?
Yeah,
See,
it
I
has
don't
too
know. I
much
mean,
of a-
I'm
maybe
so
I'm
used
too
to it because I have so
heavy-handed.
many tattoos that
I'm very
I just
heavy-handed
Aquaphor.
with my goops.
You do. You don't put like a little
like
Pond's in.
usually
Taylor
a person
goes in
like
with the
this,
whole hand.
I need my Pond's.
And then, she's like, And it's just still white. I'm the only time Taylor's ever been white in her life.
Wait, if you've ever watched the show Big Mouth and you know the scene where Nick Birch's dad is doing Soft Daddy Never Tells. That's me 100%. I have to have lotion. My lotions and my
Lotions
potions.
and potions, yeah.
Yeah.
And yeah, I don't enjoy, like,
yeah, I don't ever go anywhere without lotion. That's like my number one
Oh, I
thing.
have to have lotion too because my skin gets itchy.
I just need
I
it.
have Aquaphor literally everywhere. Today we went to a photo shoot and I was like, I have spray Aquaphor in case your legs get scaly.
No,
And
I
there's the
showered
small ones for the
earlier.
lip Aquaphor and then the...
Oh, I've been loving the Jack Black lip balm, but it's not by
I
the...
stole one out of Dave's house, but it was spicy. I didn't like it.
Oh, I just use the vitamin E and shea butter one.
Ah.
And I have like 4 of them. I have one in my purse, and I have one in my work bag, and I think I have one in my crown case.
So I quit with the goof flavored fancy
Stuff? Lip balm.
chapstick, and now I'm just Aquaphor.
Oh, yeah, I mean, like, I have one of those little lip aquaphors I keep in my car.
Well, yes, there's 2 in the car,
Yeah, yeah.
and one in my work backpack.
But you know what, actually? So I've been, like, putting in effort to go to work, and I've been, like, wearing makeup.
On purpose?
Yeah, well, I've been doing a lot of things that I need to photograph for the blog, so
fair.
I'm like, I have to. And I've been wearing the Clinique Almost lipstick in Black Honey.
Yes, but you've been wearing that since you were like 5 years old.
Yes, but like I didn't realize that I already knew what it was. And if you don't know what that color is because you were born after the year 2000, it's basically this color, but you can build it up and make it darker, even though that's not the lipstick I'm wearing today. But
But
just
you can
like,
also go very sheer with it because it's,
yes,
you know, like a
because
jelly.
it's like a lip gloss, but it's in its stick like it's a lipstick. And anyone over the age of 30 knows what I'm talking about. And they're like, duh, Taylor, we freaking know. We remember when it was in a
you
jar
used to
and
eat
not
them.
a stick.
Yeah, exactly. You
Yes.
used to eat them.
Okay, but some things in the back, some products taste way too good. Like, do you remember the Cocoa Too Faced bronzer you had? That Cami
I have
ate?
it now.
That
yes,
Cami
the Cami ate, and we're like the kid who
Or
was
was
allergic
it
to chocolate.
the chocolate eyeshadow palette? That's what it was. It
Yes,
was,
she was licking it.
Yeah.
No, don't do that. Shelby was always one for eating weird stuff.
You admit to stealing my Hydro Flask and my Jack Black lip balm. Keep going, ladies.
Dave,
I
I love you. Come on now.
And this, to break the fourth wall, this is why Stacey, my mom, is the first guest, because I knew that this sort of mishigas would occur.
This is. It's,
I know, we are having fun. What time is it? It's already 7. We've been doing this for an hour.
Are you bored?
No, I'm not bored.
So then why are you
Just like-
complaining about what
No,
time it
I'm
is?
just like shocked that much
See,
time
if you
has
take
passed.
my watch, then you and Chelsea can do things like drive me to piano bar till 3 a.m. And I'm like, why do you guys want to go to bed? We're still going.
You
What's
know.
it, like 10 o'clock?
Maybe you guys should charge your watches. Maybe get.
Maybe I
watches
need a
that
new
charge.
watch. Maybe I need a new watch.
Actually,
Dave, that is
like-
not me admitting I need a new Apple Watch. Yet.
Christmas is around the corner.
Shh, I don't want to watch. It's boring. Something fun. Don't waste gifts on
Apple
stupid
Watch.
stuff. Like practical things.
It is practical.
Why do you like practical gifts?
Because then I'll use them.
No, gifts are meant to be, not, oh,
No,
cool.
gifts
Thank
are
you for the sweater.
Maybe my brain is broken, right? But gifts are fun in the opening them. Like when it's a surprise. And then when you find out what the surprise is. But then it's just something that you have now. Is that
No,
weird?
see, no, I don't feel that way.
Well, it depends on what the gift is. Like, there's always one gift that is the standout for me, and it's usually somebody bought me a book that I actually was really interested in, and somebody paid attention and got it for me. Thanks, Mom, I love you. Although, for 6 years in a row, somebody bought
because
me
you
a
don't
copy
shut
of
up
the
until-
Phaedra book.
Yeah, because you don't shut up until
I like books.
you get what you want. So it's easier
true.
to just do it fast. Then it's done.
I-
I hate waiting to give you gifts until the occasion
Yeah,
because
I hate that about
I
you.
enjoy. I can't help it. I have so much fun
you
giving
and
you
your
the gift.
Sag rising companions who do not need to be named at this moment are the same way. Like, I know this is for your birthday, but I'm going to give it to you for the 4th of July.
Yeah, happy 4th of July. I get you another birthday gift. And then you get extra gifts. Why is that a bad thing?
Because the anticipation is what's exciting about a gift. The not knowing.
For me! Yeah, but I like giving. So
like-
you get extra gifts and just
I
shut
like
up and
not
take it.
knowing because I like to know everything. So like a gift is like a not knowing that I'm very comfortable with because like when has a gift gone wrong? It never goes wrong because it's somebody putting effort into
Of course, but
trying to plan my sweet
but-
16 is not a gift, and that's not a story.
not even what I was
that I'm
thinking
going
of
to
that.
rehash on this. This is not the point. We're
No,
like
no.
so off
But
topic.
but I think giving gifts for me is actually a form of self-care. Like I like
That's
to be
your love
able to,
language.
do for others. I enjoy that. Like especially like I don't always have liquidatable cash.
Yeah.
but I have some skills. So at holidays, most people are not going to get a store-bought gift from me. Like if you're new to the crew, you're getting a hat. That's the first gift everybody gets is a hat. Mm-hmm. And it's like you guys get a new boyfriend. I start the hat. If the guy sticks around, they get that hat. If not, the replacement model will get the hat I started as the Christmas gift for the new boyfriend. But, stick around a year later and you're going to get booties or socks or no, I don't make scarves.
Or like hand
scarves.
Scarves
Are no fun. Hand scarves are
gloves.
called gloves.
Yeah.
Or mittens, friend.
What's the guano?
Guantes. That's bad sugar honey iced tea.
Because I always want to call gloves. I know. I always want to call the Spanish word for gloves globos, which I know is globes and not gloves, but
or grapes.
Or
you always call grapes
uvas.
globos too. I know, but when
I was a little kid, yeah. And so like I can never remember
Guantes.
Oh,
not guano.
That's my name.
Guantes.
Why don't I know that?
I've never thought about that before.
That's how I remember what's formal and informal, because informal is tay. That's my nickname.
What does informal mean?
Because the to form is informal, and that's like...
Oh, in Spanish, I thought you meant clothing-wise.
Oh,
how you tell a gown versus a cocktail.
We're still talking in Spanish.
Okay.
Yeah, is it a tay dress or a tailor dress? Actually, that also should make a lot of sense, right? Shouldn't you know exactly what I meant?
Yes, but they don't.
They will come to understand.
Fair. All right.
If you saw the Paging Dr. B video, those are all tay dresses.
Yes.
Yeah, but gowns, anything where I'm even remotely channeling Audrey Hepburn, those are tailor.
Incoming.
It's out there.
I know, but it's still scary. I've been here when there's no canopy to conk you in
The
the head.
canopy's actually pretty nice.
I know,
There's
I'm
been
kind
no
of
mosquitoes. Yeah.
Well, that's because it's cold.
Well,
anyway.
sure. Okay. This has been, we've kind of we've gone off tangent. So I think we're going to round this out and finish this up.
So, and, I also, just not for nothing, but another great form of self-care is just laughing.
Yeah, that too. This has been an interesting way to,
why can't I say
decompress?
I said self.
Self-care?
Self, like the slip.
Take care of your Seths. Take care of your Seths. Now I'm saying Seth, like a Sephirazio. Like, what am I saying? And then it became a different kind of conversation. So with that, thank you guys for tuning in to the first installment of the self-care series. I'm Taylor, your International Women of Service Mrs. This is Stacey, your American Women of Service Classic. And this is going to be a monthly reoccurrence, probably at the end of each month. Next month, October, it's going to be either the 25th or the 26th. I haven't exactly ironed out those details yet, but we're working on it. And I'm going to be talking to the different IAWP title holders about self-care, volunteer efforts, how they recharge their batteries so that they still have more to give, whether to their loved ones or to their community that they're serving with their acts of service. So thank you all for joining. If there are any sort of particular aspects of self-care or, volunteer efforts, whatever, that you wanted to maybe hear us talk about in an upcoming installment of the self-care series, please feel free to either leave them in the comments or you can send them to me directly via message. And thank you. I'm so glad that so many people tuned in, and thank you to all the people who have been commenting back to us. I'm excited to do this again. Thank you for joining me.
You're welcome. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, of course.
Thank you guys for hanging out with us.
All right. Good night, you guys. Have a great day.